Anything Cricket, Let's Talk is brought to you by Rascals Barbados, My Kind of Beauty, and the Calvary Institute. Rascals Barbados. Let us serve you in a relaxed atmosphere with complimentary Wi-Fi or try a takeout meal. Rascals on the Mighty Griner Highway. Call 538-9990.
Healing, nourishing, restoring. Amazing products, essential to provide healthy skin. My kind of beauty. Let it be yours.
Welcome to Anything Cricket, Let's Talk. It's your online cricket talk show where we discuss myriad things going on around the cricket world. Joining me on the panel, to my left, Wayne Holder, and to his left, Martin Parris. Feel free to post your comments or questions, and you can also reach us on WhatsApp at 246-232-2109. When we come back, Anything Cricket, Let's Talk. Rascals Barbados. Let us serve you in a relaxed atmosphere with complimentary Wi-Fi or try a takeout meal. Rascals on the Mighty Griner Highway. Call 538-9990.
Healing, nourishing, restoring. Amazing products, essential to provide healthy skin. My kind of beauty. Let it be yours.
For expert tuition, call the Calvary Institute. We offer classes at primary and secondary level. Our adult programs include floral arranging, jewelry making, crochet, knitting, sewing, photography, conversational Spanish, and more. Check out our summer special in video editing. Phone 232-2109. The Calvary Institute in Wilmot Street. Welcome back. And maybe with some breaking news as well, or maybe fake news. Chris Gale, the new chairman of selectors, and what of Jason Holder? What will his status be when the World Cup is over?
Krish, after this World Cup, what are your plans going forward? And in your career, what are your personal memorable moments and not so personal, not so memorable moments?
My plans after the World Cup. I'll maybe play a test match against India. And then I'll definitely play the ODIs against India. I won't play the T20s. That's my plan after the World Cup.
Jason, it's my understanding that Chris Gale has reversed his retirement and is making himself available for the Test and ODI series against India in August in the West Indies. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, it's just updated by Philip. You know, he didn't say anything within the dressing room, but yeah, it's great. You know, it's great for cricket. It's good to have Chris around. As I said before, you know, he's got a lot to offer still, I believe. You know, hopefully his body can hold up. You know, hopefully he could, you know, be on the cricket field a little bit longer for West Indies cricket.
Did he say if that series would then be his last series, or?
No, I said to you, yeah, I just found out as well too, so I'm not sure. I guess I got to go downstairs and have a serious conversation with him. But yeah, I mean, if he's dedicated to playing for West Indies any longer, and then I feel, you know, once it's it's definitely going to benefit us. Then we should have him around.
You want to take the first crack at this one? Because I'm holding my laughter in. This is more than hilarious.
Well, the hilarity comes, I guess, as Philip said, and I heard and the exact thing coming from Michael Holding during the World Cup commentary as to when did Chris Gayle, or when was Chris Gayle elected the chairman of selectors, where he can say exactly when, where, and how he is going to be pursuing the remainder of his career.
Where, when, and how, he has told us clearly which matches he's going to be playing, which matches he's definitely not going to be playing, and which matches he may be playing. So,
Well, Chris Gayle said what he said. I simply take that to mean that Chris Gayle is unretiring, for one. For two, he's announcing his availability for the upcoming India series, and with a possibility of playing in the Test series, which I consider a total joke. Chris Gayle in a West Indies Test team in 2019 is a total joke.
what about a farewell test?
There's nothing called a farewell test for a person who has abandoned West Indies cricket for as long as Chris Gayle had abandoned West Indies cricket.
At the test level?
At the test level, Chris Gayle opted out of test cricket. We go right back to when Chris Gayle would have actually basically given up the captaincy of the West Indies Test team to pursue a career in the shorter format, the T20 format in particular. I don't think our memories are so short that we don't recall this Chris Gayle making the statement that he doesn't care if Test cricket dies or not, as long as he was into the T20. He was all into the T20 bandwagon. You know, we don't forget. I don't forget that. And as far as I'm concerned, the future of West Indies Test cricket has no place for Chris Gayle at this point in time.
But you don't have no problem with him playing the short?
I have time and a place for Chris Gayle in the white ball format in the immediate future.
Mm-hmm.
At age 40, Chris Gayle is old.
Mm-hmm.
Cricket-wise, he's an old man. And he doesn't have that much longer. Added to that, I mean, Chris Gayle and a farewell. After what West Indies cricket generally, and we all have to take responsibility, did to Shibnaroy Paul, a man that dedicated his life and his career to representing the West Indies, and we're still waiting for that farewell for Shibnaroy Paul, and then Chris Gayle turns up and says he wants a farewell test match. Let Chris Gayle watch the test match at Jamaica when the Indians come, and that will be his farewell.
What do you cool down? Let's hear from Martin.
He speaks with his passion, and there's a thing called geopolitics. We recently had the West Indies board changing. Good. And the Jamaican element was removed. There hasn't been cricket in Jamaica at a West Indies level in recent times. Should Chris Gayle play in a test match at Sabina Park? It's, as Wayne was saying earlier, the universe boss. I think he's the unique boss. He's a brand of his own. To fill the venues that the Indian tour will take, and to assuage the wrath of our brothers in Jamaica, Chris Gayle playing in a test match, it's not unheard of. I can't quite think of anybody in the West Indies test squad who has put their hand up and said, I am the man who could totally replace a Chris Gayle with all the experience he has. The Indians are coming, and sometimes it is known that they have asked that certain people be available in squads, or they're not coming, or they're not sending their full squads. And Chris Gayle, with the IPL appeal, as well as his universe boss appeal, will be a welcome member of any West Indies squad playing in North America, Guyana, and of course at his beloved Sabina Park, even if it's his fond farewell. Was it Roger Whittaker that sang that song? The last farewell?
I'll tell you something, Martin. The fact that Gayle would introduce that and that it would be taken seriously says something about where we are throughout Test cricket and that opening position. Because if we had two solid openers who were doing what they were supposed to be doing, or what
Quite
I would
exactly.
expect to be doing. Gil would not have the opportunity to raise something like that. So while I don't put much value on his plan to do that, to play Test cricket that is, I think it's food for thought for the young cricketers around who must in some way be, in a sense it's almost like an insult. I've been away from Test cricket for, about 5 years or so at least, and I am suggesting that there's a role for me, and that could only be so because of the inadequacies of those who have replaced me.
But
Not
Chris
to
Gayle-
mention very quickly, he had some surgery in Germany on his back, which the question was, could he stand up to the rigors of 5 days of Test cricket with this dodgy back? The German surgeons obviously did a wonderful job on him. And again, very quickly, before you make your point, man, you remember...
Assuming he's cooled down already.
I'm trying to cool him some more.
Okay.
You remember the whole idea of, if we seriously are questioning, does Chris Gayle actually get the word about his selection for any squad ahead of the substantive captain in residence? Or was he speaking out of turn, etc., etc.? Because after all, like the prodigal sons, we're welcoming our errant brothers and boys back into the full West Indies selection pool.
Wayne, you okay?
Chris Gayle is old.
I guess that's a yes.
Chris Gayle has no future in Test cricket. Chris Gayle is coming quickly to the end of his days. This is not a man who is going to be offering his services even for the immediate future to be part of an ongoing West Indies setup where he be able to be able to impart a lot of his experience and knowledge to the test team. This is a man who was talking about one farewell test for me to satisfy my ego. That is how I'm saying this.
And one ODI to get to 300 statistics.
Well, like I said, I have time for Chris Gayle. Chris Gayle can make any white ball team in the Caribbean at the moment as far as I'm concerned. I have no problem whatsoever with that. This thing about Chris Gayle playing a one-off test to satisfy his brand. Chris Gayle, the entertainer, wants to make some more of that fun that he's been giving the crowds in England.
333 runs.
And it all has to do with the match, that test match being played in Jamaica. I am not buying into that one whatsoever.
Okay, Wayne, we're going to give you some more time to cool down while we switch our discussion elsewhere. So we're going to take a break here on Anything Cricket. Let's talk. Rascals Barbados. Let us serve you in a relaxed atmosphere with complimentary Wi-Fi, or try a takeout meal. Rascals on the Mighty Griner Highway. Call 538-9990.
Healing, nourishing, restoring. Amazing products, essential to provide healthy skin. My kind of beauty. Let it be yours.
Welcome back. We've been joined by Hendy Broomes, and he has recently been appointed chairman of selectors for the Barbados teams. Congratulations to you, Hendy, and welcome to Anything Cricket.
Thank you. Good evening to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, Hendy, could you outline for us your responsibilities as the chairman of selectors? I know you've been on the selection panel for quite some time, and there have been some recent changes, and now you're the main man. So tell us what your responsibilities include.
Well, basically my responsibility is to guide and develop Barbados cricket to an international brand. I think over the years we have all looked back at what Barbados cricket has meant to the world, and we have fallen a little bit below the standards, obviously, to keep up to the standards of the great Sir Garfield Sobers and the great Conran Hunt and the Desmond Haynes and Malcolm Marshall of those standards. We have fallen a little bit below, but I think from a chairman perspective is to always get Barbados cricket as an international brand, not only as a successful brand in the region, but my main aim is to make sure that when Barbados put a player out, whether it's for Barbados, whether it's for a county team, whether it's for the West Indies team, is of an international standard. And that is where I would like to see Barbados cricket reach those standards again.
And by extension, this is not just the male players, this is female, and this is the age groups that you're responsible for?
No, I'm basically only chairman of selectors to the national men's side. There's also some interaction with the youth team, but my main job is to chart the course for Barbados cricket as a senior side. We have a panel that looks after the junior level. We also have, I think, a panel that will also look after the female side of it. But my main goal is to chart the path for the senior side.
Hendy, first of all, let me congratulate you on your appointment. The franchise, the Barbados Pride franchise, does this fall as a separate entity within the scope of the Barbados Cricket Association? Thereby, you having to explain that your remit doesn't go as far as the other departments, the youth department or the women's department?
Yeah, if I can say a little bit on that. The West Indies Cricket Board, after it decided to go to the route of a professional league, each territory had to set up a separate body to run cricket from, how to put it, separate from the national body, which would have been the BCA. So there's a body in place which is called the franchise body, and that is also headed by the president, Conde Riley, and it has a number of other members on it as well. So in essence, I would say it's not necessarily a separate entity as such, but it's governed by a separate board. And we all know that we answer back to the BCA whenever possible, and that's how it goes from the franchise setup.
Well, we all know of your exploits as a cricketer in your heyday, but now chairman of selectors. As far as you're concerned, what equips you? What makes you the right person for the job of chairman of selectors with the Barbados senior team?
If I had to look at it, when I also, that's a very good question. When I look at it and question myself to why Hendy Broomes at this stage, I think that over the years I was pretty much involved in all the age group cricket coming through. I think I wasn't a bad player as such as well. If I had to mark myself, looking at it from a funny side to it, I've always been a student of the game. I was a selector way back when Courtney Brown first took over as the chairmanship. That didn't go as well as I wanted at the time. But then I took a little break away, but I always remain part and parcel of Barbados cricket and West Indies cricket and extension. Then was asked to serve under the leadership of Henderson Wallace and bringing a little tail out to school. When I was told that the persons that I would have been serving with was Sherlyn Graves and Henderson Wallace, there was no way in the world that I could have turned that down. And it all gave me the opportunity then to continue to grow in the essence of a cricket analyst, a cricket supporter, and I felt that it was an opportunity to give back to the game I love so much. And I never set out in my wildest dream to be a selector. I never set out to be chairman of selectors, but obviously the opportunity arose, and I think I am the person in charge right now that when I look at it on a holistic manner, I think over the last 7 years, that, if not anything, has equipped me to be the person at this juncture. We have some young members coming through Barbados cricket. Barbados has a lot of talent.
Hendy, you left us hanging a bit there, though. You said you couldn't turn down the opportunity to work with Hendy Wallace and Sherlyn Graves, but you didn't tell us why.
Well, no, I didn't, but...
and you were supposed to be telling tales out of school, so let's hear these tales.
Well, the truth is, growing up, Sherlyn Graves was one of the persons, when you look into club cricket, back then when I was playing, club cricket was our test cricket. Club cricket was the pinnacle of cricket in Barbados. Getting to trials was one thing, but being selected on a Thursday night in a club game to play first division cricket, that was seen as a big thing. And Sherlin Graves, when I came through, he was one of the main persons in club cricket that you knew when you decide that you're going to play against Empire, and you'd realize that you're coming up against Carlisle Best, Sherlin Graves, Mike Innes, people of those stature. It meant a lot to you. So having been asked to serve on a panel then, charting the course for Barbados cricket along with Henderson Wallace and Sherlin Graves, that any young player coming up in my time could never turn that down.
Hendy, looking a little further afield, from an organizational structure, you're one of 6 territorial chairmans, the school teacher here will correct me, of selectors. Are you, by extension, then part of the West Indies selection process?
I wouldn't say I'm not. Obviously, the persons and the players that we all showcase at regional level becomes part and parcel of West Indies cricket. But in an official capacity, no, I'm not part of the West Indies selection panel. That's a separate panel altogether. But as I had said earlier, time to time, we would have discussion with, obviously one of the selectors at any given time could be from the island that you're from.
Right.
So what I would like to say is, or what I would like to think is that if a selector is from Barbados, I would like to think that if he thinks strongly that the West Indies selectors are going to be looking at, let's say, for instance, Wayne, he should be able to come and say, Broomes, we have an interest in Wayne. If it's not going to change the balance of your team, we want to see Wayne operate at the first class level to have a better judgment of him. I think over the last couple of years too, a lot of teams were selected from a West Indies point of view where at some given point in time, a player from a particular territory weren't selected from his national side, but yet still he were in a West Indies A team, he was in a West Indies national team and stuff like that. So I think going forward, if we are looking to have one brand, and I think that is where West Indies cricket can also improve, where we have one brand, everybody on the same sheet, things like that can obviously improve West Indies cricket, and I don't see it as a negative or anything like that.
The follow-up to that was, how much of an impact does the selection of a Barbados squad for any of the formats that you're responsible for gel with what the West Indies wants for West Indies cricket? The guys in previous discussions were wondering, do we want the best Barbados team, or do we want to provide future West Indies players the developmental element of it, and how much influence the West Indies selection has on your Barbados selection?
It's a fair question. What I would say is that they're always, how to look at it, from a youth selection point of view. Obviously, there's a strong influence in West Indies cricket coming through the youth system. So what I will say is that it might not necessarily come under my heading, but if you have a youth program in the Caribbean, which is headed by the West Indies Cricket Board, and the West Indies Cricket Board selects, let's say, on the 19th side, and you have guys in it from your territory, automatically those guys come into the national setup. It's not always the case where a guy that is playing on the 19 or age group cricket is skilled enough at that time to be playing at the senior level. But once he has been identified by the West Indies Cricket Board, he's automatically then brought into your system, not necessarily to play, but to interact with the first class players and stuff like that.
Going back to what you said earlier about a fellow Barbadian being on the West Indies panel, I would think, though, the suggestion you made about that collaboration, so to speak, should come about regardless of where you're from, really. I see nothing wrong with, let's say, someone from Guyana who is on the panel and who may recognize that there's a Barbadian who they have some interest in, that he should be able to say something to deal with. I don't think it would necessarily be a Barbadian. What are your thoughts on that?
No, definitely that is something that I would hope that as a national West Indies selector thinks that he has the, and I'm going to use the word the right, because I actually think the national West Indies selectors have the right when if they're doing the job to the way I think it should be done. When you look around West Indies cricket, you should be able to identify talent within a particular island and say to the selectors of that island, hey, Mr. Jones is someone that we have a high interest in. How can you facilitate him in your next team? How can you facilitate him? We're looking at him as a one-day player. How can you facilitate him in your squad going forward? I'm not going to tell you that we want to see him on the park, but we want to make sure that this guy is not left on the side, and going forward, he's actually being exposed as soon as possible because we are looking at him strongly. From that point of view, now you would then, I would hope that information now is passed on to my coaches, because obviously if from a West Indies point of view, a West Indies selector see a person in a particular island, some kind of coaching would have to go on, so you can then say to my coaches, hey, here is what we see in person A, person B. This is a record of what we would like to see develop in him. So it's not just a case of putting him on the par and let him swim with the sharks. Put things in place. And I think dialogue is what is missing, not only from West Indies cricket. In my own opinion, I think it's missing from our club cricket, it's missing from our national cricket. And I would like to see dialogue being a big part and parcel. I don't know if this is the right word to use, but politically is news all the time, not under my watch.
And your scope, let's get back a bit more parochial, but your scope as far as the resource from which you select your teams, are you restricted to, let's say, elite division and first division players as far as representation for the national teams are concerned? Or could you, for instance, see or have reported to you by a trusted scout of a person playing BCL cricket down at Hoyt's Village, and would that person be welcome? Is there a way to get such selections made in the Barbados Senate?
Definitely. What I will say is that there have never been a directive from the BCA not to select anyone that is of Barbados nationality to play for Barbados. Obviously, when I think back to when the board made the change to have relegation and promotion and elite and first division, it was of the intention to have our better cricketers playing at the highest level. Sometimes the idea is good, the actual planning might be also up to standard, but the execution at times fall through. I think what we tend to do in the region is that we let things go on, and instead of seeing the problem and tweaking it and getting it right, we sometimes let it go on too long. But there's nothing stopping a guy that is playing in the lower division from being representing Barbados. If you look straight over the years, well, over the last 5 years, I would think, there were one or two players that came into the national side preparation that weren't actually playing in the elite division. So we got to be very mindful and careful in how we label who is the better players in the country.
Well, we're going to take a break right now, but when we come back, much more from the chairman of the Barbados Selection Panel, Hendy Broomes. Rascals Barbados. Let us serve you in a relaxed atmosphere with complimentary Wi-Fi, or try a takeout meal.
Healing, nourishing, restoring. Amazing products, essential to provide healthy skin. My kind of beauty. Let it be yours.
Welcome back. Hendy, I suspect that one of the more fun parts of being a selector, is actually listening and hearing the comments from just about everybody. But those people who have more access, let's say the media, they sometimes make their feelings known, sometimes they reflect the general population, sometimes they don't. How do you deal with the media and the feedback from team selections?
What I will say is that the media plays a big part. At the end of the day, being a national selector is seen as a public job. I think the media has a part to play. It keeps the selectors on their toes. It actually sometimes keeps the players on their toes. But what I will say is that over time, having been in the job for the last 6 years, sometimes I think the rapport between media and selection panel left a lot to desire. I would like to see a big improvement in media selectors relationship. I think there's a place for it. I think it all goes well for the development and the mind settling of spectators, because at the end of the day, a spectator left home and come to Kensington to see who makes the most runs, who gets the most wickets. They're not really interested in the integral parts of team selection. And sometimes when selectors put out a side without explanation and stuff, it leaves the public all disheartened sometimes. But I think that is where the media comes in, or can come in and play a significant role. From my point of view, I think that something as simple as having a little phone call, I don't see anything wrong with let's say Wayne calling and saying, Hendy Broomes, we realized that Mr. Jones haven't been selected this week. He was in the last 2 teams. He's not in the team this week. How is there anything that you can pinpoint would have been the deciding factor in Mr. Jones missing out, or Mr. Barker missing out, or Mr. Holder missing out?
Especially if he had a 5-wicket haul again before.
Correct.
Like Mendy last year.
And I'm saying that those glaring things, and I always had this thing that 3 people cannot determine the direction of cricket. There's so many people in Barbados that understand the dynamics of cricket, that if anytime that 3 selectors start to think that only them have the answers, then we're in trouble. Now, I'm not going to say that a media person can dictate who is selected, but certainly he has the right to ask, and if it's something that we can give information to. And sometimes giving the information then allows the commentators then to educate the public on the direction the team is going. Too often, and whether it's the right thing or not, too often the commentators are seen as the ones trying to educate the public. And it's not fair on the selectors, and it certainly is not fair on the commentator, because then the selectors at some point in time can get disheartened about the wrong information going out to the public. So under the Hendy Broomes panel, I would like to see that there's a better relationship between the media, whether it's print media, whether it's the other media houses in Barbados. We can certainly all improve in that area.
Well, Hendy, I'm going to give you one of the hardest balls you've ever had to play in your entire life. And it is going to be judged by our moderator, Philip. The selection challenges at the World Cup, how would you have handled them? And especially when you have someone like a veteran, like a former West Indies captain, Chris Gayle, who announces that he'll be playing. And perhaps that'll be worthy of a separate segment. But yes, how would you have handled the challenges that the current selectors had of the squad up the road?
Well, challenges, from a selector's point of view, challenges always is a lot more difficult when you're not winning. Once you're winning, challenges are no longer a problem. England was the favorite to win the World Cup. Last 2 games, and now everything is a challenge to England. Australia went into the World Cup with challenges, whether they're going to be able to handle the crowds, whether they'll be able to incorporate the 2 stars back into the setup. Australia don't have a problem. Australia is winning. It's all about getting those results in a positive way. I think the West Indies team have some senior guys that can all help the junior members get through a difficult time. Chris seems to have taken on the role as senior pro with open arms. I'm seeing Chris smile a lot on the field. When I look at Chris being part of the West Indies team at this juncture, I'm seeing a more relaxed person. I'm seeing a more team binding kind of person. He was always a bubbly type of person, but the way Chris is interacting with the younger members, and at the fall of wicket, he's running to the players and stuff. He is the one that can actually help the younger players come through. From a selector point of view, I would hope that the staff and the support systems are in place to help someone like a Floyd get through this difficult time. I know it's a difficult time. Floyd's my personal friend, and I know it is a difficult time because at the end of the day, it's a World Cup. I think the Chris Gayle saga can be the learning experience going forward. And I hope that Chris is given the opportunity to walk away with the crowds applauding and actually saying thanks to Chris Gayle for a long, long career in West Indies cricket.
A fitting note on which to end our discussion. Not that we can ever end a cricket discussion with Hendy Broomes, because we know that he is one who really is passionate about cricket, and he always has something that he would want to contribute. So thanks very much, Hendy, for joining us on Anything Cricket. We don't be surprised if we ask you to come back on another occasion, and we'll have a lot to talk about. So thanks again, and all the best as you move forward as chairman of selectors.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a 2-year contract, I was told. So if I put the message out that the media is part of selection, I don't think it could be a one-off. I look forward to seeing you guys again.
Rascals Barbados. Let us serve you in a relaxed atmosphere with complimentary Wi-Fi, or try a takeout meal. Rascals on the Mighty Griner Highway. Call 538-9990. For expert tuition, call the Calvary Institute. We offer classes at primary and secondary level. Our adult programs include floral arranging, jewelry making, crochet, knitting, sewing, photography, conversational Spanish, and more. Check out our summer special in video editing. Phone 232-2109. The Calvary Institute in Wilmot Street. Thanks for watching our show. You can join us again soon for another episode of Anything Cricket. Let's talk.